Good morning. Welcome to GitHub Universe. Today, we are going to walk you through how we use GitHub at GitHub, and along the way, show you some of the really cool new features we've been building. Let's check it out. I start my morning with the Github Mobile App. I check out my notifications, and I catch up with my favorite communities. Github Discussions makes this so easy. We announced it a few months ago as a great place for Q&A and open-ended conversations, and today we're announcing that every open source community can try Github Discussions with our new public beta. Just head to your repo settings and turn it on right now. We've learned a ton from the communities that have already been using Discussions, and we've added some great new features like customizable categories and native support in our mobile apps. It's awesome. Oh, this is a really interesting idea that came from the community. I actually think we should work on this. So I am just gonna @mention Ryan to see if he can figure it out.
Hey Leo, check this out. Nat just pinged us. Huh, that is a great idea. Let's open an issue and get started. Discussions is where your community has open conversations or asks questions or just hangs out. The issues is where you go to plan and track the work that has to get done. Maintainers always tell us that if you're gonna have a healthy project, it's crucial to separate the work that's happening on that project from your community's conversations. That's why we created GitHub Discussions and GitHub Issues. Issues has all the project management tools like boards, labels, assignees, and anything else you need to share, plan, and prioritize across GitHub. All right, I need to loop in Neha. She is the animation expert on the team. Let's mention her and see if she can help. Hope she's not too busy. All right, Leo, gotta run. Text me if you need anything.
Ryan. All right, I think Ryan wants some help coding up animation. Let's take a look at the issue. With the new GitHub CLI, not only can I read issues from the command line, but I can also clone repos and work with pull requests and more. It looks like we need to add P5.js to animate some of our SVG-based octocats, but it isn't in our dependencies yet. Let's add it real quick. We're just getting started, but I like to open a pull request on my first commit and mark it as draft so that the squad knows that it's time to get information. Looking at the PR, we can see that there's some new dependencies to power these animations. We should give them a once-over. That's super easy with our upcoming dependency review tool that's built into pull requests. It automatically surfaces security vulnerabilities and helpful information about the added dependencies when you preview the package JSON. I see we're pulling in a couple of libraries that have vulnerabilities, so I'll need to update these to the patch versions before we merge this. P5.js is a key dependency for animating these octocats, and we want it to be something we can depend on for years to come. So why don't we invest in it, yeah? Let's look at the repo. Yes, we can fund them with GitHub sponsors. I'm busy coding though, so I'm gonna delegate this up. Let's ask Nat to help out with this.
And now, a word about GitHub sponsors.
With GitHub sponsors, you can fund the open source projects you depend on and the developers you admire. GitHub sponsors has already been a game changer for developers, including some who've been able to quit their jobs and go full-time as professional open source developers. They don't work for any single company, they work for the internet. Now, We want open source to thrive for years to come, and given that every company in the world now depends on open source, we know our community can do more. So starting today, companies can sponsor projects and developers through their existing billing relationship with GitHub. So let's sponsor this project. Leading companies from around the world have already joined us in supporting open source maintainers through GitHub sponsors. All right, I'll let Neha know we've done it. And now it's time for lunch.
Now that we're sponsoring P5JS, I'm even more excited to use it in our project, which means that this PR is ready to go. Let's mark it as ready for review to kick off the code review process. Since we have a code owners file in our repo, GitHub automatically assigns and notifies the team members to review the changes. The team can leave comments and even suggest changes for me. And now for the coolest part. Manually merging a pull request is nice and all, but how about we let the robots do the work here? Check out auto merge. Now, when your branch protection rules are met, your change is approved, and your checks are green, GitHub can automatically merge your pull request for you. Just tell GitHub how you want to merge with a commit, rebase, or squash, and we'll make it happen. I just need to rely on one more human, and that human is Ryan. Where is Ryan anyway?
Whoa, it looks like Nat cranked this out already. Let's check out the pull request to give it an approval so we can ship it. With GitHub Mobile, not only do I get push notifications for things like comments, but I can keep working on any of my repositories no matter where I am. Let's jump to Nat's pull request and take a look. With UI changes like this, sometimes it's hard to know if everything's working just by looking at the diff. Sometimes I actually need to run the app to see the changes. This calls for a code space. Github Codespaces gives me a complete dev environment right in my browser, even on an iPad. It's like an infinite dev box configured in code, just how you need it. And since Codespaces is built on top of Visual Studio Code, it gives us a fully featured editor right in my browser, complete with built-in terminal access and shell access. While my application is running on a container at GitHub, I can securely connect to it right from my browser. Whoa, lowercase h, that's a bug. Let's fix it real quick. Now I can just commit and push this change right from my code space.
Yeah, I'm gonna snooze that notification. Brian's got my back because he's doing deploys today.
Notification. Yo, I love getting a good notification. When we're building software, we turn to GitHub Actions. As you can see, we already have Actions up and running in our repo for pull requests and CodeQL automatically looking for security vulnerabilities. With our tests all green, I think it's time to kick off this deployment. GitHub Actions is so much more than CI. It can react to any GitHub event to manually trigger a deployment. Let's start by publishing a new release. As soon as our release is published, our deploy workflow is automatically triggered. So let's take a closer look at these two new legit features, starting with our new Workflow Actions Visualizer. This new UI is looking fresh. You can see exactly what's happening in your workflow, how steps and jobs relate, and even what state they're in. For example, here we're running the final minification and bundling steps in parallel while regenerating our project's documentation before we deploy out the staging. Now we're ready to talk about the final workflow step. Also new to GitHub Actions is the ability to require manual approvals for action workflows. You can set protection rules and give each environment dedicated secrets. That means you can make shipping painless while also making sure authorized team members can deploy to production. Staging is looking legit and everything's looking hella green. So I'm gonna approve this deployment to go to our production environment. And with that, our deployment is live. GitHub Actions is becoming more powerful by the minute. And with over 6,000 open source actions in the GitHub Marketplace, you can build and automate just about anything. Real talk, you could even order a pizza. Yo, this is legit. Let's tell the community this is crispy.
Tens of millions of developers use GitHub, but so do hundreds of thousands of companies, including some of the biggest in the world. For those users, we've been hard at work adding all the new features you saw today to GitHub Enterprise Server, so you get all the power of the best teams in the world running on your company's network. That includes GitHub Actions, packages, code scanning, and support for the native GitHub mobile apps. All of this is available in a major new release we call GitHub Enterprise Server 3.0. This is the biggest release we've done of GitHub Enterprise Server in years. Okay, that was an awesome day. The team went from an idea that came from our community all the way to production using discussions, issues, the new CLI, our native mobile apps, Codespaces, pull requests, code review, branch protection, continuous deployment, advanced security scanning tools. You saw it all. At GitHub, the thing we care about the most in the world is developer experience. So whether you're an open source developer, you work at a company, or you're a student just getting started, our job is to make it easier for you to build amazing things. That's why we're here. So we hope you enjoy the conference, and we'll see you soon. What a day.
So bright.
Hey Nat, you're up late.
Hey Diana, sorry to bother you, but it is just so bright. Where are we with dark mode?
I've been trying to ping you in Slack. It's been ready for ages.
You're waiting on me? Oh man, it must have been the time zone. Sorry if I missed your message.
Yeah, because it's like 19 hours difference between San Francisco and Sydney. This has been ready for 6 months.
Oh, do you think you could resend the approval to me?
Yeah, let me quickly deploy it for you.
was that?
Nat, are you okay?
Is it real? It's awesome.